First act, unattended. Unattended, Abby hits something in the pool, something that hurts and aches, something that pulses. Thoughts come and go. Abby hears the words approaching, making an in from an out, hazing dust around her mind. On the skylight, a seagull drifts by, snake shadows sliding in drops over a large body of water, closely casting Abby's judgments. That's how Abby realizes that everything hurts in her life these days. The intense surge of water swallows her senses, and she loses track of direction. Chlorine mounts into her ear, or so it seems. Smells can be heard. Behind the swell, a first yell, gulping in from a woman that roars from the other extreme of the pool, floating on the lane. She mumbles something incomprehensible to Abby. Earplugs are effective. The woman passes her on the lane. The malaise is evident and makes Abby disappear, the same absence she recognizes when looking at herself in the mirror. The imminent encounter revolves the pause of nothingness in her body. The same woman loops back and forth in a revolution extended and appeased by the distances between the edges, and which returns, eventually, through underwater stairs. Abby receives the void through the violently splash of persecutory movements, blurring and lapping away all that can't be said, but attaches two strangers in one time zone. The floating macaroon, which at a given moment is the source of obstruction, travels far from there. A nearby kid grabs it, unaware of how one same object can be cause, shame, and pain. His small body balances over unevenly in and out, becoming several beings over one same form, renovating the play according to his own wishes, perfectly covering the elongated surface of his body. The swimmers continue up and down the lanes, one by one, until eventually leaving the pool. Abby knows the event at the aquatic center will follow her all morning, perhaps weeks, aggressively binding the acute, accented sounds, deafening her mind. Vowels and consonants incessantly drawn by the vain attempt to master the unexpected. Abby's affixation is a jubilation of salt and tears, tasting consent and intense suffering. Falling from her goggles into her mouth. The chlorine salts her censored emotions with an imminent pungency, the intuition that something is always about to happen in the eyes of Abby's comings and goings. Second act, impermanency. Abby rides her bike past the ambulance and turns her head to what was previously blocked. The vision of the old lady is jarring. Her slow descent to the concrete is twice unsettling when supported by the arms of a uniformed fireman, whose actions reveals further the woman's fragility. How is it possible that one can accommodate someone else's being this gently, with the surface of their hand alone? Abby breathes a somewhat comforting respite as the old lady is readjusted in a proper and dignified sitting position at the edge of the edifice's steps. The landing jolts and dismantles something inside her, though. The occurrence attracts the curiosity of others, also strangers, at least primarily. The ground of their connection is cracked by other occurrences in the neighborhood. Crows bombing, delivery vans, dogs and their masters, the first beautiful spring buds. Daily routine as per usual, if anyone dared to say such banality out loud. As Abby pedals up the road, a breezing wind fades her sprint into a moving spirit. An accent of joy and horror mixed in a curious ensemble. The wheels turn. Abby breathes the lunge in her lungs. Coughing, the remains of the old lady's collapse from the bottom of her throat. The ambulance is not a bad sight. What is a bad sign often escapes her vision. Briefly misguided by the intensity of these signs, which she cites, she imprints a notable pressure on the pedals, pushing Abby's apprehension from sights of terror and tenderness into an intricate crisscross of moments. Upwards and downwards lives the impermanence of another's world, suspended by precarious bindings. At each curve she makes on her bicycle, the concreteness of circles is unfinished. The laughing sounds of smiles invocated with the force of 100 grenades, igniting and hissing into Abby. The same faces which, involuntarily unaware of their consistent delaying of themselves, attempt to ignore what ultimately is just a falling woman. Effectively, Abby comprehends that the unfortunate aspects of wanting to disseminate the truth of the nature of things dies with the unconsciousness of all that is inconsistent. Third act, involuntary. Abby pushes her chest a bit forward than usual to observe her green toenails, carelessly unaffected by an unspoken innocence of impressive tonality. A word climbs up her spine. She can't tell whether it is a shell sneezing ocean onto her back or something unaware of its own organic mythology. I'm not like anything I know, Abby writes, scattering the involuntary singing of the bees, accelerated by the sweetness of its imprint. People move in silence. Books are read. Abby likes the essence of the letters dissolving into what cannot be named just yet. The persistence of a word comes from the temporality of its sound. Even if writing doesn't hold the answers for anyone's life. Living is the only necessary reason, Abby proceeds, feeling the weight when something invokes her from the page and makes the disorder of the worlds into an oriented. The movement of her fingers is faster and interminable than an organic process, where even the quivering deposited whatever onto becomes the page a saying will be contrary to whatever aches in the language covering it my body. It is here that lives the dangerous trap of my ignorance of the closures. The following paragraph zigzags by recognizing the white dots, unable to convey. Abby is very aware of the time lost, of the longing of an unguided and unsupervised life. Eating raspberries in her spare time. And slowing heat and cold wafts instantaneously and unrecognizable at first sight.